Hello guys, we are back. It is one of our favourite times of the week. It is Saucy.
Oh, I'm on cue. Wait, it's wild, weird, wonderful, werewolf, woo-woo Wednesday. That's what it is, Purple Valkyrie.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you. How are you doing? We had a fantastic show last night, didn't we?
It was a good show. We got to one article, but there's a lot of things I think a lot of us needed to get off our chest. I mean, and hail to everyone who's in chat, by the way. Hail to Daniel, Mr. Batsu, Eldritch Lord, Haster, Smile for a While, Camphor, MS18. Everybody who's out there, hail to you. Thanks for those people who were on the show last night and are here today. But yeah, it's right before the show, I was talking about it with you, Purple. Mm-hmm. My brother, who lives in Eastern Europe and has been there for 25 years, literally just sent me a message going, I have no idea what's going on in the world. It's like, have people lost their minds? Like literally, he's like, did they turn the Hadron Collider on and like, we've got green lizard people in charge of things that aren't affected by radioactivity? I mean, like, it's not just, I mean, my brother's an English teacher, super respectable guy. Like this show and the things we talk about make a lot more sense than me reading what is actually happening in the world. Just gonna say that. Seriously,
there is a reason why we do woo on a Wednesday. Exactly.
But that's how I'm doing, Purple. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Let me grab a couple of messages because you guys are amazing as always. So we have got, let me grab that one from Haster. Great to see you as always, Haster. He has sent us a super sticker and it's a Shiba Inu with the heart. So thank you, honey. Really appreciate that. We have got Leaky in the house and he has been with us for 4 months as a member. He sends us a member chat and he just says woo, so thank you.
and Leaky, I did make that change that you requested and helped Purple Valkyrie, so that name has now been corrected, so thank you for pointing that out. Yeah.
And great to see Daniel as well. Hello, Daniel. He sends us a super chat. He says, what's especially wonderful is Purple Cam. Well, thank you. Much appreciated.
Agreed.
And we've also got from Leaky a super sticker. Thank you, honey. And it is a black cat. Very, very apt for this time of year.
Oh, Werewolves of London. Ooh, white. It's Werewolves of London on Wild. Weird. Wonderful. Werewolf. Woo-woo. Wednesday. And we're not radioactive yet.
No, we're not glowing in the dark yet, thank goodness. But give it time. And let me say hey to Jaden Hamilton. Great to see you as always. Hope you guys are doing well. And hello to Psychodorf9. Hello, love. So we kind of left off on Wednesday. Last week we were talking kind of aliens, and then we moved slowly into kind of the more supernatural side. No, we weren't talking aliens. We were talking vampires last week. I'm getting Wednesdays and and Saturday confused.
That's okay. There's a lot of woo-woo. There's
Yes.
weekend. There's wild, weird, weekend woo-woo. Besides wild, weird, wonderful, werewolf woo-woo Wednesday. Perfect. So you're okay. You're okay.
And that was a great show on Saturday as well. But what I thought I would do, and we've got a fantastic article from your man Salty here, and we're going to continue with the weirdness. So we talked a little bit about Bigfoot, but apparently the UK, and especially the area where I live, the West Midlands, has our own answer to Bigfoot.
You have everything. You have Tolkien, you have Victorian Bigfoot, and what I'm wondering, does Bigfoot wear a top hat and a monocle? And go, pardon me, do you have any grey poop on? My feet are rather large. Isn't it rather large for a foot that is big? Yes.
With spats. I can imagine it. I can see it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
But this was a fantastic article. So I'm just going to have a look at this. And this is something that kind of caught me by surprise, because although I'm quite well versed when it comes to weirdness, especially around here, this one I actually have not heard of. So let's see what they've got to say. And this is a recent article. It's only from yesterday, in fact. So it says, a Bigfoot-esque creature stalking the canals of the West Midlands and leaping out to spook travellers. You'd be surprised how often it's been reported. I've walked the canals of Birmingham, and there are plenty of things that will probably jump out at you. But Bigfoot would not have been in the top 10.
Diversity is your strength, right?
So they keep telling us, yes.
Well, what's crazy is why I sent this article was because this stuff goes back to the 1800s. It's not just like somebody was on a bender after watching the World Cup and is like, oh, I think that's Bigfoot. No, this goes back to like the early 1800s, Purple.
It does, yeah, and it's described, apparently he is known as the Shropshire man monkey. It's a cryptid. It's an animal not believed to exist by mainstream science, but that's never stopped people in the past. And it is right up there with our friend Nessie and all the other fun cryptids. So it says it transpires that the waterways of the West Midlands, and there are a lot of canals, more canals than Venice, as every proud Birmingham inhabitant will tell you, have their own counterpart to the Sasquatch that's said to stalk North America, with persistent reports of a hairy attacker from the undergrowth. Make up your own jokes, people.
Wow. A hairy attacker from the undergrowth. This sounds like a Penthouse Letters column from the 70s. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Yes. And if you don't, you're too young, so that's okay.
Boom chicka wawa, boom chicka wawa. Ooh. All right, I'm going to stop with the 70s porn music. Please continue, Purple.
But Salty is absolutely correct. It says the most famous sighting occurred at 10 p.m. on the evening of January 21st, 1879, and was investigated by folklorist Charlotte S. Byrne. She recounted that just before the eyewitness reached the canal bridge, a strange, hairy black creature with great white eyes sprang out of the plantation. I think she just means the grass by the side. Field, yes, by the roadside, and attached itself onto his horse's back.
Whoa.
That's
a lonely man monkey out there trying to get it on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course, as any normal person would do, in desperation, he tried to push it off with his whip, but to his horror, the whip went through the creature, and he dropped it to the ground with fright. The horse then broke into a canter and then ran off at full speed. Smart horse, with the creature still clinging to his back.
Wow. So there's some truth to Psycho Dwarf 9 who's saying Sasquatch can teleport, didn't you know? I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't want to be part of that away team. I just want to say that, especially if I'm wearing a red uniform, Damn it, Jim. I'm not a Bigfoot. I'm a doctor.
I just like to think, he was on his holidays, fancied a little bit of culture, decided to come to the West Midlands, saw a horse, decided to perhaps get it on.
Let's get it on!
As you do, apparently, in the 1870s. Let's see if there's any more to this story, though. So it says the man returned to a village called Odysee, which is in Staffordshire, and recounted his tale, with the listeners being so terrified that they stayed in the area rather than risking an encounter. The witness was so terrified by his encounter that he took to his bed for several days afterwards. Makes sense. The canal was searched the next day, and the whip was found in the exact place he'd dropped it. Apparently, the police visited the witness a few days later upon reports he'd been robbed. So it says, when he explained in horror what he saw, the policeman was rather disappointed and replied, "Oh, was that it, sir? I know what that was. That was the monkey man. Sure as does come again at that bridge ever since a man was drowned in the cut." Cut, for anybody who's wondering, just means the river. Yeah.
So this appears to be the origin. It's a creature akin to the man monkey, was reported near the end of the 19th century by a man named Ned. I don't know why we need to know that, but whilst it's not while, it's whilst driving a pony in a trap on Rev Street in Smithwick outside Birmingham, he heard a strange noise behind him and was leapt at by an unusual looking animal, which he fought off and killed with his horsewhip. The animal was placed on display in a glass case at the Blue Gate pub on Ralph Street and was dubbed Old Ned's Devil.
Nice. I would be very curious, and I might do a little bit of research to see if Old Ned's Devil still exists, or even if the pub still exists, because that would be pretty interesting to go see. So Old Ned's Devil was probably a separate creature to the one experienced in 1879, as this one was actually flesh and blood because he managed to kill it and get it stuffed. However, it provides further discussion in the narrative of the Ape Man.
It's crazy because in this article, it says a man contacted the trust and said that during a holiday on the Schwappy in the 1980s, he passed under a bridge and was looking up when he saw a, quote, huge, hairy black figure staring back at him with large eyes. He called for his family and then the creature disappeared. Interestingly, there were further reports of this ape-like creature from the Madeley Wood area in the 1870s. So this area, for whatever reason, it's got this Bigfoot-like thing. Now, one report says it's interdimensional. Another one says you can kill it with a whip. And now this other one, it disappears. I don't know. But here's the thing. I think there might be something to this. What it is, I don't know. But again, we have seen these type of cryptids that match this description, reports from all over the world for thousands of years, not just here in North America, in South America, other places like that, in Asia. It wouldn't surprise me that they would be in the UK. I think unless they're Olympic grade swimmers, they probably have a very, very small population,
It's also interesting the way it's described. So they never mentioned that this thing, whereas Bigfoot is said to be, over 7 feet tall, these things seem to be quite small. I mean, if it was small enough to jump onto the back of a horse and latch onto a guy, you'd think it was probably not much bigger than I am, I would imagine.
Yeah.
But it is fascinating.
This is the first time I've ever seen something about a Bigfoot-like creature in the UK, and I thought it would be fascinating in the fact that there were these reports going back a couple hundred years. I'm like, let's check it out, Yeah,
that was a fantastic article, and what I am going to actually do is go check out Ned's Devil and see if this thing did exist, or even if the pub exists, because that would be a fantastic selfie.
We need pictures. We need pictures of old Ned's Devil that sat in a pub
just me
in Birmingham.
Yes.
I have something fun to share. This is a monster of another kind before we get into some of the harder science. You guys over there in the UK are weird. I'm just going to say that. But I mean, this is like, this is from the Mirror. Again, the most trusted news source in the United Kingdom, ladies and gentlemen. Mum in awe of a monster 6-foot crisp. That's the biggest one she's ever seen. I'm an American. I don't get it. I don't understand. First of all, why you call them crisps, because they're chips. I don't get that. And you call fries chips. All right. But I'm not going to start an international incident. My name isn't Brandon. So I'm going to let the professionals handle that one. But this mum was in awe of a monster 6-foot crisp. That's the biggest she's ever seen. So I wanted to look at how big this is. The large potato chip.
Okay. Jesus,
this potato chip deserved a half-page spread in the print publication as well as its own webpage on the Mirror in the UK. So, chat, what do you think? What do you think? I mean, is this the biggest chip you've ever, crisp? This is the biggest crisp you've ever seen? I don't know.
That's not a crisp, no, that's a crisp.
I know. I mean, she could be a hobbit. This could be like a regular size chip. But I just thought, in all this talk about monsters and the unexplained,
that's a pretty big crisp, to be fair. But that did look like it was a bag of Walkers, so that's probably the only crisp that was in that bag, because they are renowned for being mostly air and not a lot of substance inside.
Well, like Kamala Harris. That's basically what you're saying. Like Kamala Harris, like a lot of words and no substance. And but there is something I do want to talk about, and awesome. I'll let you do this. Did you have anybody in chat you wanted to?
Yeah, just want to shout out a few more people, because I see you guys have joined. So we've got Geek Strong. It's great to see you. We have got Sentient Dildo. Great to see you as always. Coffee on Korriban. Hello, great to see you. Hey, good afternoon. And Soul Assassin, hello, love. Great to see you as well. So let me bring this in. So this one's a little bit more serious, isn't it, Salty?
It's pretty darn serious. It's not as serious as sabotaging an important pipeline. We'll just see that. But this actually occurred, I believe it was on Monday or Tuesday. Now, NASA had a program called the Double Asteroid Redirection Test, or DART for short. Now, this spacecraft was intentionally crashed into an asteroid about double the height of the Empire State Building and at 525 feet wide. Now, while that would not be an extinction level event, if that asteroid were to approach us at the right angle, at the right speed, it would change the composition of our planet, the weather of our planet, and make, I don't know what, I can't do the numbers, but it would cause a tremendous extinction of a lot of species, especially those living in warm climate areas, because it would instantaneously produce nuclear winter, which could take decades, if not hundreds of years, to subside. It's also what happens when you have nuclear war on a large scale, too. If you don't die of the thermal, and then horrifically die of the radiation, you then freeze to death because you can't grow food. Did somebody tell Joey that? Anyway, I'm talking about this. This is NASA's, again, double asteroid redirection program. So they crashed this thing into this big ass asteroid. So on Monday, it crashed into, you can see sort of the maneuvers. It was really impressive. And yes, I have video to show you this. Why this is fascinating is something that I've been talking about, and a lot of people, going back to Randall Carlson and I can never remember the cat's name, but a lot of people, Carl Sagan, talking about life-ending events have happened over and over and over on this planet. The extinction, the large asteroid that hit the Yucatan, that essentially killed all of the dinosaurs out and then led to only small little mammals living on the planet for millions of years, was an asteroid. The asteroid that struck the ice cap of North America about 11,600 years ago fundamentally changed the entire surface, and I believe all of the advanced civilizations advanced from a Stone Age, or I'd say technology, in my opinion, based around technology we would have had in the 16 to 1700s, I believe was probably existing at that time on North America. Randall Carlson is someone who's, in Graham Hancock, agree with that. That is a theory. I'm allowed to have theories. I trust the science when I can see it, not because I have to stop talking.
And the fascinating thing about this is we didn't realize that how close this thing was actually getting. So if they've had to fire this thing to divert its path, I kind of would have liked a little bit more of a heads up, guys.
Well, they're not telling us a lot. I actually have a list of all the... So this one isn't as close as the one we are going to talk about, which is really close. But let's watch a little bit of this video of them crashing this damn thing. So this asteroid is so big, it has its own moon. Its own little mini moon. This is true.
This brought a friend with it.
Yeah. Its own little mini moon. You know, so yeah, so this thing here, hold on, yeah, this is easy to use, but you can see it's bullseyeing right on this asteroid. What's remarkable, and I will pause it, will be the actual surface of what an asteroid looks like broken concrete, which I guess makes sense. But look at how fast this thing was going. I think it was going at 19,000 miles an hour. This is a huge freaking asteroid.
It is,
but the
massive.
Closer it got, look at this thing. Alien is an overused word, but look at the surface of this thing. Now imagine this thing being 300, 500 feet across, coming into the planet at faster than a rifle shot. Imagine the damage it would do. Even if it wasn't a direct hit, the explosion in the atmosphere would be like detonating a high altitude nuclear weapon, and whatever what was under it, a city, would be gone. Absolutely gone.
Wiped out. So this in essence was a gigantic space game of snooker where they had to hit the hit it at the right angle to deflect.
I don't know what snooker is. I think are we talking about stuff from Penthouse? Okay, yeah, playing pool. Pool for you, you fellow Yanks out there playing pool. Snooker. Sorry, Governor, I would like to play some snooker. No, I'd rather play some pool because I'm a Yank. But yeah.
And T.Z. Burton, that's a very good question. Where is Bruce Willis when you need him? Absolutely.
Unfortunately, he is he's got a cognitive disorder, and much like the supposed leader of the free world.
It's a brightest day, and let me just very quickly say a huge thank you to Psycho Dwarf. Great to see you as always. He sends us a $10 super chat. He says, buddy of mine, Badger scared his horse. Sorry, let me start again.
Okay.
Buddy of mine, Badger scared his horse, treed him into a fence post. It took another 20 minutes to subdue the badge with a horsewhip, another hour to get a hold of the dang horse.
Wow. Badgers are no joke. They are fierce. I mean, they're the state emblem of the state of Wisconsin. Of course, Badger football, Badger basketball, great athletic programs, but yeah, they are fierce creatures, and they defend their ground to the death. Really, really sharp teeth and fierce.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And Wolverines are part of that family as well. And
Wolverines!
Hardcore.
Yeah, totally. If you haven't watched, there really is only one Red Dawn movie. It came out in the 80s. I think it came out maybe 4. Watch that one. Don't watch the bullshit they call Red Dawn now. That's the only one worth watching, and it's very worth watching. It really is.
But thank you, Psychodorf. Much appreciated. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. Great to see everybody today.
Yeah.
Let me bring this in. So what have we got, Salty?
So this is straight from NASA itself. Yes, Diversity and Inclusion Central, which is now NASA. But anyway, they still have time to do some science once in a while. But these are the next 5 closest approaches by asteroids to the planet. And about when they're going to happen. So they've got one that's 2.5 million miles away. It's about the size of a 707 or it's the size of an airplane, 100 feet, right? That happened today. Surprise. Another asteroid, it's 32 feet, is 3 million miles away. That happened today.
Oh my God.
Another asteroid, 3.2 million, passed today. Look at all these asteroids that are approaching today. Those are just from today. Now I know they're 3 million miles away and all this other stuff, but
Hmm.
there's one that I can't find because YouTube hates me. I'm going to try and pull this up. But where I'm going with this, here we got it. Got it.
Got it. Awesome.
Yep. And because I have too many links. You guys don't know this about me. I send way too many articles, and then I'm like, oh, we never get to everything. So this is from the UK Sun. It's an article from September 20th. Again, this is not from years ago. There are 4 huge, I mean, these things are huge, asteroids that are going to pass close to Earth in the next 2 days. And this happened, and we didn't know about it. This was last week. So these rocks went by last week, and look at all these asteroids. They're constantly going by. This one that went by last week was 190 feet in diameter and was traveling at speeds of 19,000 miles per an hour, and it got within 1.5 million miles of the Earth.
Yeah, that's a little bit too close for comfort for me.
But wait, it gets better. Another asteroid was 72 feet in diameter, and it came under 1 million miles from Earth. The problem with this one is it was traveling nearly 31,000 miles per an hour. So if that damn thing would have slammed into Earth, that would have been a real bad day.
Mm-hmm.
But look at all of these asteroids. Last week, Thursday, one was a 1.8 million miles away, but that one was going at 44,000 miles per an hour.
Would you say it's fair to say then it's not a case of if we get hit, it's a case of when we get hit and how big of something?
When we get hit again.
Yeah.
We've been hit over and over and over and over. And we have meteorites that continually come in. Look at the Pleiades, that occur. There's a lot of supposition, and I actually believe this, that the Pleiades was part of a much larger comet that actually broke up. And that was part of that fracturing, was when that approached the Earth 11,600 years ago. That's a huge chunk that slammed into North America that caused the instantaneous vaporization of, I don't know, really gajillion tons of water instantaneously and matter thrown into the atmosphere, and the almost instantaneous melting of the entire glaciers on all of North America.
Yeah, and we've talked about this, and to see the glacial runoff and the way that the land
all
formed
through the western states. I've been there. Eastern Oregon, Eastern Washington. There's irrefutable data and evidence. This is not gradualism. The amount of things that were worn away and features that have been created in Western Washington, and I've seen them, are shocking. They're incredible. And you can look in Montana, if you go near Kalispell, and look at the hills and the mountains while you're driving on the interstate through Kalispell, Montana, you can see just how much water was there because the levels of that meltwater are there built into the hills.
And we've also talked about Utah being basically a basin.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Eastern Oregon, Idaho, Wyoming. You can see all of these things out there. And to get back to answering your question, there's one that's coming in December. And that one's coming within 300 to 250,000 miles of the Earth.
Yeah, so that's the one that I remember talking about because it was so close, in astrological terms. But these ones that just whiz past us, and NASA's like, oh yeah, by the way, this nearly happened.
Yeah, I mean, this has been going on long before any of us had the internet, before any of us were born. The planet's been here. What's the big deal? Well, I think the big deal to me is the fact that they pissed away a lot of money on this. Oh, let's be honest. How much money have they given to Ukraine? But anyway, NASA did this program to go and try and push an asteroid. What we haven't found out yet is were they successful or not. And we're not going to know for several months if the impact, that nudge, changed what should be a theoretical adjustment of the trajectory of this asteroid. What I'm hoping is they didn't nudge it to hit us.
Yes, spin it. Yes, yeah. Well, it was mentioned in the chat. It's like, well, where did they nudge this to? What direction is it now heading in? Keep your eyes peeled, guys, just in case.
Trust the science. The science isn't gonna lie to you. Science isn't gonna lie to you. Yeah, the smart people are in charge right now, aren't they? The smart people, the really smart people. with our money, with our food supply, with our defense. The best and brightest, guys. The best and brightest.
Makes you proud, doesn't it?
What the hell is going on? Turn that goddamn Hadron Collider off. Can I go back to boring, just chill?
Yeah.
Just boring
2015.
chill.
2015 was a good year. Yeah.
Yeah. And I gotta be honest with you, I could give a shit less what happens in that country that's over there by that supposedly there's a war going on. But the only reason that apparently this country exists is to take all of the money from my country, and I don't know what the hell they're doing with it, but I'm sorry, this is like I lived through the Cold War.
That's going to be the reason why we can't afford to heat the houses this winter.
I lived through the Cold War. Back in the 70s, we had bomb shelters that we went to in our elementary school. Every day in the 80s, we didn't know because you had Reagan standing up to all of the succession of Brezhnev and all of these zombie communists that were there. And now look at what we're doing. The thing is back then, I was really sure who the good guys were. The good guys were about freedom and capitalism and freedom of speech and about Judeo-Christian values. I don't see a lot of good guys on this playing field. Purple.
It's like, what the hell happened? Yes.
I see bad and worse. That's what I got. And let's not even mention those other guys over there. Did you? Let's just say a couple big countries' navies are screwing around off the coast of Alaska right now. And one Coast Guard cutter found them. One little cutter, and they launched a little helicopter. They're like, we chased away all of these ships from China and from, Russia. And it's like, dude, they blow that cutter out of the water. I mean, like,
you never would have seen it again.
Yeah.
Yes.
All I can say is, thank God we're devoting all of our time to gender research and to pronouns and having drag queens be mandated in school districts, because that's important right now. I gotta stop talking. This is not my channel. I'm sorry.
I've got a sneaking suspicion it's not going to be mine for much longer either. But Daniel, thank you. Great to see you. He says, damn you, NASA. They ruined an entire year's worth of prayer to convince that asteroid to visit us. A lot of people are hoping for it, absolutely. So please. TZ Burton, in regards to the asteroid, said it hit the Nord Stream pipeline. Quite possibly, yes.
It's lucky though. It's guys. There's a silver lining, guys. The next day, somebody built a brand new pipeline that goes from Sweden through Poland that can now, it's like magic. It's this new pipeline that can provide natural gas instead of that. It's totally not a conspiracy theory, totally not connected at all. It just was magic. It's magic.
Psychodorf says, Salty, I friggin' helped fight the Cold War. Heck yes.
That's what I'm talking about.
You guys know exactly what we're talking about. Jaden says, Corey, Purple, do you both have Discord accounts?
I don't. I use other people's,
but I don't use it very often. But I could certainly get in touch with you if you want to talk. I don't use Discord very often.
I have so much complexity. And every YouTuber out there wants me to join their Discord, and I just have ping all day. And it's messages about, here's a picture of my cat, or my cactus died, from 20 different people. And it's like, no offense. And I think I've pissed some larger YouTubers off, because I'm like, just send me an email or talk to me on Twitter. And it's like,
keep it simple.
Yeah, I mean, I need simplicity, because I do have a job and a career where there's a lot of complexity, and I come to here to escape, even though here is starting to destroy my will to live. But there's that. But no, I mean, it's crazy, because these asteroid things, Purple, I mean, they've been going by for, since the planet existed. I believe life on this planet, probably a lot of the water that we've had on this planet, is the result of asteroidal impacts, or something that goes way back to when this planet was created. So,
we're gonna eventually talk about Antarctica, and there is a theory that an asteroidal impact is where a lot of the weirdness came from there, you know, because there are creatures and that aren't found anywhere else, but are very, very deep down under the ice, which that's where it could have came from, outer space. And I probably believe that, you know, that makes a lot of sense. It's locked in the permafrost. But just quickly, let me say a huge thank you to TZ Burton. Great to see you as always. It says, Salty, you go, brother.
Always. Sorry, I just had like some weird strobe light effect because I was pulling up something from the New York Post, which I thought was fascinating, and it just got stuck.
Would you like me to grab another article, since we are on it today? We're on a great roll today.
We are we are like rocking and rolling. We're cruising through the topics like we are. You know, Good Morning America, only without fascist cows. Oh, this is you. Good. Let's talk about this.
Yes, since we are talking about outer space and things that may or may not end the planet, I thought we would go back to a UFO sighting that we actually had in the sort of recent history, if the 1980s, you know, recent for you. So this is about the largely unknown 1983 Wales UFO crash, which is known as Europe's Roswell. This wasn't the one that I thought it was, which actually got me really excited to read. So it says, sometimes referred to as Europe's Roswell, and they alleged, they should have put that in quotations, crash in the small village of Llanir near Aberystwyth in Wales in
How
January.
Do you say that? Sorry.
Which one?
Every time I see a Welsh word, I'm like... Sorry, say them again. I'll shut up, but like, can you say those words again? Because that's kind of
So if you see a double L, it's a C pronunciation, so it's Llanir, and then the other one is just Aberystwyth. I like Welsh words. They're needlessly complicated, but I absolutely love the Welsh language.
Double L is a C? I learn something new every day.
Yeah.
Double L is a C. Okay. Sorry, I'll shut up. Go ahead.
So it says in January 1983, perhaps not as well known as we might imagine. Well, I didn't know about it, so let's see. It, especially as it boasts apparent proof of the incident in recovered material claimed to be from the otherworldly craft. Furthermore, according to the main witnesses, who were a local farmer, a discreet and professional cleanup operation took place on his land where the material was discovered. Now, that sounds like something that the government would do, doesn't it? So this is a really cool picture, and this is part of the alleged UFO wreckage. So this was scattered about on the farmer's land.
It's interesting to look at that metal in the way that metal or whatever that material is has fractured. It does not look like it was cut with a saw. It looks like whatever broke this up was some type of interesting exertion of force, which wasn't against the grain of this. Again, I am not a metallurgist, nor do I play one on television, but when I see things like that they don't look like normal wreckage, and they don't look like fuselage. And when you look at the grain of things like this metal, if there's somebody there that's a structural engineer or a metallurgist or something like that, and I know, Purple, you work with some things, just without outing you talked about the metal and things like that, but this just looks weird. It looks different to me, you know?
It does, yes, it does. It's very odd, and I've been kind of looking at it. I would love to actually see it in person, just to see, you know, how dense it is, or if it's light, or if it's porous. Because on the top it looks porous, but in the center it doesn't. So it is a very odd piece. But let me see what else they've got to say about this. So, despite the apparent seismic shift in public perception that such an event would result in, only one newspaper would cover the story, and even then the coverage would dry up almost instantly. Apparently, back in the 1980s, people didn't care. But I will preface this in saying that back in the 80s and early 90s, there was a huge kind of influx of stories about UFOs. This is when the crop circles especially were taking place everywhere. So people might have been a little bit sick of these stories, and this one kind of went under the radar.
We didn't have instantaneous communication. A lot of stories were sent via wire, which would mean they would use telex to send things. I'm going to cough. I'll be right back.
Yes, absolutely. And Psychodorf says there's an
Yeah.
aerospace material, an aluminium or aluminum, whichever one you like, honeycomb sandwich. Look it up.
I will look at that. So this could be some type of advanced research, whatever.
Hmm.
But where I was going with that, Purple, was I don't think it was the appetite. I think it was because when this happened in '83, we were
Hmm.
in the midst of the Cold War. There were things
People were a little bit more preoccupied with something
we
else.
were, and we only had two genders. Yeah. Yeah, we had grain embargoes, and then we didn't have grain embargoes with the Soviet Union. And China was just a third world backwater that had nuclear weapons. Of course, before Bill Clinton gave them all our money in the '90s. But what I really think is, I think something like this, the fact that you live there and you didn't even know about it, to me means this was an effective disinformation campaign.
Yes. When this first came up, I thought that this was going to be the Rendlesham. Yeah, which is probably the most famous one. But this is fascinating, and the fact that they've actually recovered alleged, in quotations, material, it's even more interesting. And it also says whatever the truth is, the recovered materials remain in the possession in a secure location of UFO research and investigator Gary Rowe. One day might prove a vital piece of evidence in getting to the bottom of UFO and alien questions.
I want to find a documentary on this and do a follow-up for next week. I think you and I should find that, because again, when something like this appears, and I was 13, and I think you were still a gleam in your father's eye back then, but I was 13, and they didn't talk about UFOs a lot on TV. Just as a rule, you kind of had to search them out, like Leonard Nimoy, he'd have a show about it, or That's Incredible, or you had to get a videotape to watch those things, because they didn't really show them on broadcast TV. And I mean, with this, I had no idea this happened. I didn't find out about Rendlesham, that famous case with the United States Air Force personnel, as well as the RAF personnel, until probably 5 years ago. So you guys keep a pretty tight lid on the goings on over there in the UK of the unexplained and unidentifiable.
We really do, and I don't know whether it's just because of the way that they investigate it, or the way that it's reported, or the way that it's just shut down immediately, but it doesn't seem to stay within the kind of public consciousness for very long. And I think a lot of people would not know about this.
No, I was just reading TZ Burton's 3 genders comment. 2 thumbs up from Salty Ecstasy. Yeah. Yeah, I'll talk like this on my own channel too, because I'm over it. But this is the stuff where it would be nice to know. This is just another one of those nuggets where, I mean, I know where Wales is. A lot of what I've seen from Wales is you sharing pictures with me or watching Doctor Who. That's about the extent of things. But in this case, this is a significant event. And if people are saying this is on the scale with Roswell, of course, the incident, the very famous incident that happened in New Mexico, here in the United States after World War II, that means something. But to have this kind of debris and what this looks like, again, this is going back to the '83. I've heard a lot of people say whatever technology we currently have, like 5G, and how the magic of having your phone be charged by setting it on top of something, that all of this technology had already been developed by the global industrial military complex at least 10 years, if not 20 years before it's released to consumers. So God knows what they're playing with now. But I can tell you what they're not playing with is a full deck, especially when it comes to that bullshit over there in Eastern Europe and our buddy Brandon. Yeah. Let's go, Brandon. 81 million votes. 81 million votes.
Most popular ever.
Yeah.
But I love this picture. It's why I scroll down to it. This is absolutely fascinating. Can you imagine just somebody pulling this out and showing it, just a alleged lump? So I'm guessing this is the piece that we looked at close up earlier. That's what it looks like with the flat top. We've seen this one and then this is a much larger section. But all of these, I would love to see, just to see how heavy they are, what kind of density they are. So I think you're absolutely right about this. I'm going to do a bit more research, because this could be a show in itself, just trying to get to the bottom of this mystery. And it also is worth noting here, as it says we should perhaps also mention that the area around Aberystwyth have extensive underground systems. This is true. These stretch under large portions of the area.
Why were these built? They were built in Wales to remove all of the valuable artifacts and important documents from London and the government and your museums, to store them during the bombardment during World War II. So all of the most important things, including VIPs when they were fearing invasion, was kept there in Wales in these underground military bunkers. Now, again, as Purple, as you were saying, this thing was sited over the same area where these supposedly abandoned bunkers are.
I don't believe for one moment that they are abandoned, but yes, this is a vast area. Probably, a lot of people don't even know how far that these things stretch, but they go under the hills, they go through mountains, and this is basically a storage system. It was used mainly in the Second World War for items of value, but don't think for one moment that there isn't some probably extraordinarily valuable stuff still stored there.
Yeah. And don't think that maybe this hasn't been converted as yet another redoubt should things get all nuclear-y.
Yes. If you think of the, sci-fi, people, going into underground tunnel.
Nosferatu the Vampire, we touched on that pipeline thing. The good news, and I'll make this joke again, the good news, Nosferatu, is that the very next day, Sweden's own, it's magic. It's like God was looking out for us. Sweden has a pipeline that can do exactly what it was. That pipeline that must just be aliens, but Sweden is now going to provide that same supply, supposedly, of natural gas to Eastern Europe that somebody blew through multiple feet of concrete. These were 1.5-inch welded pipes with multiple redundancies. And they were at a depth of between 200 and 250 feet on the bottom of this inland ocean.
Amazing.
Someone must be looking out for us. Somebody had the foresight to know. I mean, what if this happens?
Yes.
Aren't you getting tired of it? Aren't you getting tired of this?
Yes.
Because I am looking over it. I see you. I see what you're doing. I'm not eating the bugs. I'm not going in the pod. I'm not getting a digital ID. I'm not giving up my nationality.
We're not getting chipped.
No. Fuck off. Yeah.
I'm going to bring in another article. What have we got here, Salty?
Well, I was going to call this a little bit of levity, but I think this helps when people go, why do they make this entertainment? Why does everything suck? Why is the world full of miserable people? Well, I have a potential. I'm always looking out for you guys in chat. I really am. I have a potential reason why the world is as effed up as it is. So this comes to us from, and I can do this, I know how to YouTube, from the one and only New York Post. It's an article from 2 days ago. It says, why vegans and vegetarians are depressed twice as often as meat eaters. This is based on a new scientific study, and it wasn't done by quacks like Fauci. It was actually done by people who care about science. So vegetarians, and this is according to a years-long study. Oh, kiss my ass with this pop-up stuff. Vegetarians experience depressive episodes twice as frequently as those who eat meat, according to a new study by Brazilian researchers published in the Journal of Affective Disorders. Quote, there is a positive association between the prevalence of depressive episodes and a meatless diet. the study said. Scientists set out to investigate the potential association between a meatless diet and depression among adults, and they surveyed nearly 15,000 participants between the ages of 35 and 74 over 6 months. They were evaluated using a clinical interview schedule revised instrument, a tool to use to diagnose common mental health issues. Vegetarians were found to have double the amount and number of depressive episodes as people who ate meat in that same period, even when variables such as smoking, drinking, physical activity, taking supplements, all of these other things were factored in. It was still double. Quote, depressive episodes are more prevalent in individuals who do not eat meat, independently of socioeconomic and lifestyle factors. Nutrient deficiencies do not explain this association. The nature of the association remains unclear, and longitudinal data, I can say longitudinal data, are needed to clarify a causal relationship. Now, there have been a number of studies that show a correlation between mood and what you eat. Your emotions and everything comes from the gut. Everything comes from the gut. When you don't eat right, when you have an imbalance, when you have too acidic, too base, it affects everything about you, your mood, your health, your immune system. In 2017, researchers looked at the diets of people with major depressive symptoms and found that people with depression who followed a diet high in whole grains, lean protein, low-fat dairy, and plant foods were 4 times as likely to have that depression go into remission as those who ate ultra-processed foods.
Yes, and that is the key, isn't it, as well? We're not here to kind of bash on vegans and vegetarians, but also just a little bit. But it is all about the quality of what you put into your body. You literally are what you eat.
A couple of things from this study and why I brought it up. Beyond meat, you shouldn't eat meat. Meat's bad. Cow farts, remember? Somebody named Bill G and Klaus somebody, and they're all like, you guys eat too much meat, you can't have this, you gotta eat the Beyond Meat, you gotta eat the bugs. Look up chitin. Look what chitin is, and chitin toxicity from eating insects. But where I'm going with this is they know. And what they're doing is they're, along with changing everybody's genders and confusing them, and I have to be really careful here, but getting you to eat ultra-processed foods like fake or impossible meat, that's incredibly ultra-processed shit. And what it's meant to do is to help destroy your humanity and to take away your sanity and to make you depressed and compliant. No one can convince me of that. Now, is that a woo-woo topic? Yes, I think it's a woo-woo topic. I also think it's reality. It's effing reality. And so this is why it's important. I'm not busting on you. My sister's vegan. My brother's mostly vegetarian. It's fine, right? If you're going to eat tofurkey, I am going to make fun of you. I don't care. You're a moron. I'm just sorry. Eat the turkey. You know what I mean? Where I'm going with this is that when you start looking at these things and look at what the agenda is, there's a reason why. You want to know why things are happening? Please form your own opinions. Do your own research. I'm going to say that. But to me, I didn't go looking for this. I found this and started reading it and started putting pieces together into this whole damn thing. That's why they're taking away meat.
Yes, and if you just look back over the decades and the way our diets have changed, as we've introduced more processed food, as we've got away from whole foods, fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, overall health as a species has been on a steady decline. And there's they keep telling us don't be self-sufficient, don't have your own garden, don't have an
extremist.
allotment. Yeah.
I was joking with, I think it was, who was it on Twitter? Was it the Awesome One? But somebody posted what our Department of Homeland Stupidity said, and it had to do with signs of extremism: canning, having a garden, knitting, talking about growing food, cunting, buying food to put in the freezer, worried. I mean, like all of these things. All of those things, every goddamn generation until this one did. You know, self-sufficiency. When I grew up, we had a garden. My grandparents had a farm, for God's sake. You know,
My
if you
grandparents
didn't
did.
know how to hunt, how to fish, you were considered a moron and a loser where I came from. This is in the 80s in small town Northwoods, America. I mean, you learned how to fish. You learned how to shoot. You skinned the squirrel. You ate the squirrel. You went fishing. You learned how to scale a fish. You learned how to bone a fish. You show me anyone under the age of like 30 that knows how to even put air in their tires. Like, no disrespect to anybody.
Or
None.
could even point out on a sheep where this cut of meat comes from. Yes.
I don't mean to be disrespectful of you, but if what I think is going to happen is happening over there, and you know exactly where I'm talking about. Over there, which is nuts. You know, the United States Senate just, this is true. They just passed a bill for $30 billion. And it was called the Radiological and Nuclear After Effects Reconciliation Budget Funding Project for that country. That happened last night.
Kind of
that is not woo-woo. It is not woo-woo. Look it up. Like, I mean, if things get weird, right? And let's say there's an EMP and you know, things aren't magically delivered when you press your phone. What are you going to do when the light switch doesn't work? You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be doom and gloom. I'm just going, this was the reality we grew up with under the Cold War. That's why these movies and the books that we had, that's why self-sufficiency is so important. And that is why they are labeling it that you're an enemy of the state. Canning? I have shelves lined over there with lemons and oranges and apples and other things that I've canned. And I've canned other things too. But I'm exercising something called operational security. So that's all I'm going to say. You know? And I got to stop talking. I'm going to get hauled away. I'm going to end up where the same place with those January 6 people are.
But the chat is exactly, you know, what you're saying, Saucy, because smile a while for me. Hello, sweetheart. She says, hey, I do all those things, but I know I'm not the norm. That's okay. Yeah. That is awesome. And TZ Burton says, I grow grapes. My neighbor canned them for me at 6 jars for winter.
Homegrown grapes are amazing. Real homemade. Yeah, I mean, I make homemade strawberry jam. And it's like, I mean, I that's the thing is, knowing how to do these things is what our grandparents did. Well, my grandparents did, maybe for a lot of your great-grandparents. And it's just, it was normal. This is what you did. You know, grew up deer hunting, grew up fishing. My younger my brother, who's in Europe, has a 7-year-old daughter. And while we were on this stream, sent me pictures of my niece and him fishing. And she's not even 7, and she just caught a fish. And now he's teaching her while I'm live streaming how to clean a fish. Because and what he said was, I'm doing what I can. I can't control what's going on because he's in Romania. And if things start getting weird, it's not going to go really well for my family there. You know? And I'm not being dramatic, but a lot of us, you know, this isn't just some crazy thing where we got Sleepy Joe wandering around pissing his pants, making things up, going to blow up the world. Like, this actually has a tangible effect on some of us, you know, and I'm sure those of you in Europe, you know what I'm talking about. Like, and I got to stop talking. I'm going to get you demonetized. I'm sorry.
It is true. And we've been told as a country in the UK, you know, expect a hard winter because the cost of fuel is going up. People are not going to be able to either fill the pantry or have the heating on. It's a choice that a lot of people are going to have to make.
Yeah. I've been talking to several people that I know that because I did a lot of outward bound work, I you know, lived in national parks because I wanted to. After the tech crash in the 2000s, I was on the road. I was like, screw this. I'm just like cashed out of everything and went and banged around. And, you know, just get yourself a decent camping stove, get like a couple dozen butane things, you know, get some extra batteries, get a little solar thing. You know what? I'm probably for saying this, you know, good old Brandon's boys are going to show up and, you know, Epstein me. I mean, this is the world that we live in, guys. It's fucking ridiculous. And YouTube is blocking us for talking about these things. If you talk about firearms, if you talk about self-sufficiency, you know, like...
And weirdly enough, that's a lot of the channels that I'm watching at the moment. You know, people that are homesteading, people that make
Yeah.
things with their own hands, because I find it fascinating.
Yeah.
Just quickly, let me say a huge thank you again to Psychodorf9. He says, look at the people in the 40s
Yeah.
and then look at us now. Absolutely.
The average combat age of the World War II soldier from the American Fighting Forces was 26 years old. That 26-year-old, on average, grew up in the Great Depression, and their parents came to the United States on boats with nothing. Nothing. And yet they fought for what we have today. And look at who is in charge of what we have today. Doesn't seem like they like us at all. It's weird, isn't it? Very, very weird.
It's kind of sus, as the kids would say. Absolutely. And Smalawala says, I'm under 30, I'm remodeling my own home, can fix my own vehicle, and can preserve food. That is excellent.
Again, I didn't need to make a broad generalization. I didn't. It's just statistically, that you are a unicorn. You truly are. And again, I'm not saying my generation's got it all figured out, because I deal with people from my generation. I don't know where they came from. It's like they're from a different planet. I'm just gonna say that. It's just like, who are you? Like, really? Is it because you got poked with all those things? That's experimental. You got all 6 of them, and it ruined your pineal gland. Is that what it is? Because you certainly don't seem to be acting like a human being anymore.
It's funny how that seems to affect people. But Daniel, great to see you again. He says 2 weeks of walking in the UK and Europe, and always eating meat and potatoes, felt like $1,000,000. 3 days back on my IT diet, and my digestion is ruined.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
digestion and gut health is one of the most important things you can do. And again, I'm not a physician, I am not a dietitian, YouTube, but eat healthy.
Yes.
I don't eat anything that's processed. You can ask Purple Valkyrie. I make everything, and I don't plan on living forever, but I don't plan on accelerating the process of my death by eating ultra processed, genetically modified bug shit or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Yes. I made the mistake of sampling some I think it was smoked ham, if I remember correctly, while I was in the US, and it made me very, very poorly. It was it was a bad few hours, because my guts, it just would not accept these nitrates, because they weren't used to it.
And the chemicals and the processing stuff, and gas station food will kill you. It will, especially gas station pork related progress. I was there for that. I was there 3,000 years ago, Gandalf. Yeah, I was there.
It was a bad time, but lesson learned. But Gun Bunny, hey honey, great to see you. Says, I have a friend who makes jams and jellies as a side job. That is fantastic, and a lot of people are starting to do that. They're starting to do like little side things, so making things, so whether it's candles, waxes, jellies, jams, pies, whatever it is.
I just see something. I'm like, how does that work? How did they do that? And so, like, that's how I got into canning. I was like, I want to grow a garden because I saw an unsustainable financial system based upon derivatives and on debt-fueled money ran by a Federal Reserve that has nothing to do with the government of the United States, and that they were bound to determine to use inflation to inflate their own assets through a multiple of complex economic processes, which we didn't actually get taught about when I studied economics in the 90s, but they just made up because they wanted to make more money. I got this economics degree based on 20th century economics, which worked. Now we are in the 21st century with the new economics. Does it look like it's working to you? Because it doesn't look like it's working to me. It looks like all the shit that I learned you shouldn't do in the 90s that they've done.
I think we've taken a step back.
It didn't work. So now we have to distract everybody with multiple pronouns and artificially create scarcity. And I don't know, what are we gonna? We're gonna have like boom. We're gonna have boom now, and then what? We're gonna have like one government because somebody. I mean, is that how stupid they think we are? Like,
yes, yes, unfortunately.
What? Seriously? I'm not. It's just yeah. I'm being hysterical. I'll stop. Sorry.
Or just speculating. That's another way of looking at it.
Yeah, my eyes are open.
And Daniel, thank you. Says it's so good to watch Purple and Salty again. I needed this show today. Well, thank you guys. We're very, very grateful to have you because you guys are amazing. And let me give a shout out to Zax. It's great to see you, Zax.
Yeah, our man is going to Portugal and Spain with his wife, and I'm jealous. And I do want those pictures of the Roman ruins, and by Roman ruins I mean topless beach pictures. Please send those to me.
Code, yes.
That's code. Roman ruins is code for topless beach. But no, Zax, have a good time.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah,
safe
thanks for
travels.
being on the show last night. Yeah, and Daniel, I agree with you. You and I, we work in we'll just say industries that are adjacent but different. And I know what you're talking about because, and I started the show off talking about this, or maybe I didn't. My brother sending me a message going, "What is going on in the world?"
Yes,
like people seem incapable of critical thinking, and he literally said that he's working with these people who only seem to have this siloed weird narcissism where they don't care what they do. They're just going to throw things at you, and when you don't make something magical happen, then they berate you and shame you. And it's like, it's not just in America, it's kind of everywhere. And it's like, what is it?
Yeah.
What happened, guys? I mean, are you guys seeing it too? Because I swear to God, Purple and I talk about it all the time. Other YouTubers, I talk about it. Something has happened, and it just feels different now. And I don't know what it is.
Yes. Best advice we can give, I guess, is keep researching and maybe look in places that you wouldn't normally look to get your news, and talk to people, connect with people.
You are not crazy.
Yes. Salty, do we have time for one more article, or would you like to save it for Saturday?
It depends on what the article is. Is there any nudes?
No, there's no nudes. It's a cryptid-based article.
All right, go ahead. I'll give me 30 seconds, but go ahead. Let's do it.
Okay, let me pull this one up. So this is one that I just wanted to kind of talk about because it's one of my favorite cryptids, and we haven't talked about him in a while. So this is, of course, about the famous Mothman of West Virginia. So it says West Virginia's Mothman leads cryptid renaissance. Indeed, the creature has risen from local appearances to the national stage as leader of the cryptid revival in the last 20 years. This is one that I guess is probably one of the most famous. It's right up there, at least in the US, with Bigfoot and all of those types. Jersey Devil, I would probably put it up there as well. But this is one that I've always been fascinated with, and it's one that I knew even before I ever saw the film. Which is a great film, by the way. So it says the town of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, offers its residents a landscape once claimed for France by a 17th century explorer. A namesake battle site may swear it's the first Revolutionary War, and a bipedal humanoid moth-like creature with glowing eyes. The last of these local treasures is, of course, extraordinary indeed. So it is the Mothman, as it became known as local legend, and Point Pleasant really has kind of embraced this creature. If I remember correctly, there's a statue to it. There is a festival about it. It is one of the most celebrated of the cryptids, and I absolutely loved it.
It's interesting because I learned about this phenomenon from the 2002 movie starring Richard Gere, and before you snicker and laugh, I will say this. It's a pretty good movie. It's a pretty good, scary movie. And it's not scary body horror. It's scary psychological. And the crazy thing is, the movie said it was based on actual events. And if you've ever seen a movie with one of Purple's favorite actors, Nick Cage, I think it was Knowing.
Yes,
It has
knowing.
that same type of thing. So it's fascinating. Knowing is a dark and depressing as hell movie. It's a
It's
good
weird.
movie. It's a slow but very dark movie. But the Mothman Prophecies is terrifying. It really is.
Yes. I
Yeah.
think there's it's based on a book as well, which I haven't read, but I always meant to pick up. But I actually really want to watch this film again now because I remember it being so good. But yeah, Smarnawal says, when I lived in Virginia, I had girls that
Oh yeah.
worked with who were terrified of the Mothman, and
Yeah.
I've read accounts of this creature, and it's always described as being the same. It's like 7 feet tall, it's got wings,
Yeah.
it's got glowing red eyes, and it appears similar to the Jersey Devil periodically. So whenever the Mothman is seen, usually a catastrophe follows. So that's really, whenever there's a sighting, people get really nervous because they're wondering what's going to happen. And linked in with that is obviously, it's in the movie, the bridge fell, and around the time that that particular Mothman sighting happened.
Yeah. Sorry, Purple. I was just going to say,
yeah, please.
One thing that movie does is, again, it's good psychological terror, and it's pretty well done. But again, this phenomenon had been, I still believe there are things that are residences that have been there before. Again, I firmly believe that North America was a bustling, very active, very populated continent. It wasn't just empty. And then magically people crossed a bridge from Asia. No, there was thriving cultures here, especially before 11,600 years ago, when the ocean levels were down at the continental shelf, before all of the ice water melt off of all the glaciers worldwide at that time. And God only knows what was in that area of West Virginia. What's fascinating is that the Appalachian Mountains, for those of you probably know, are some of the oldest mountains on the planet. Mm-hmm. And they were at one time much higher than Mount Everest is. You can't tell me that countless cultures of human and humanoid species, whether they be, Neolithic level or something coming up to the 1200s, or maybe where they had sailing ships that were maybe going around doing things that they didn't exist before, and it involved this continent. You just can't. And I understand North America was under an ocean for a very long time. I get that. But those are hundreds of millions of years ago. We went from back in 1920 without people owning cars and having telephones. There was no sound in the movies, to within 50 years landing someone on a moon using rockets. Why can't other forms of humans with the same brain capacity, and I'm going to argue greater brain capacity than ours, unironically, how could they have not done similar things? I don't know. That, to me, that seems pretty simple.
It does. Yeah, I completely agree. And this, I think we've talked about this in the past, and this is something that, again, I really want to kind of delve into, our past and how we came about as a species and what potential species came before us, and how we branched out, because I firmly believe that there were many more different variations of human, in quotation, that we probably don't even know about. And we talked about a couple of them previous shows, but I just love the idea that this thing has been so embraced by the community. And it's a little bit kind of, they're cashing in on the idea, and for tourism, but
it's no more than they do
alive.
It's no more than they do in the Pacific Northwest with Bigfoot. I mean, Bigfoot is claimed by Oregon, Washington, Idaho, I mean, even Montana, but it's like everybody, they jump on things, and it's even in Wisconsin, Minnesota, places like that. So, and then you have chupacabra all over the freaking Southwest. You have, what was that crazy thing they had in South Carolina for the longest time? Skunk Boy or something like that. I mean,
Yes.
But
But I like the idea that it's so kind of well known, especially in this particular area, and that it kind of heralded the whole cryptid renaissance. Yes, people we I think one of the first shows we ever did was talking about the belief in cryptids, and
Yeah,
especially the belief in Bigfoot and how it has
yeah,
grown over the years. And
yeah.
I think it's correct. It really does.
Yeah, and we went state by state. We looked at
Hmm.
occurrences, where were the most frequently, and we'll have to look at new data on that. We really will. I just was reading an article about Texas here in Bigfoot, and they were talking about some other sightings, and they were approaching it interestingly with the same way I did, which has to do with environmental conditions of it being so hot. What does Bigfoot do when we had the kind of summer we did down here, versus like in the Pacific Northwest? But I mean, at the end of the day, I don't need to make up scary things. I look at what's been going on since November of 20, actually, no, since March of 2020. And that is the most horrifying thing I never thought imaginable. It's already occurred to us, and it's still occurring to us. And so I look at Bigfoot, I look at some of these things, I look up in the sky. I don't make these things up, and I don't do research on them to be like, ooh, let's just make crazy shit up that we can sit here and talk about. I think there's a lot more to what it means to be in this reality.
Yes.
And to be a human, a true human, not a transhuman, but someone who's truly human. And to be involved in your surroundings, and to experience and to use all of your senses, that I think it's a much more fulfilling life,
It is. It is. And this is exactly why we do this show. It's why we enjoy talking about these topics so much. And yes, we kind of do it in a way that's sort of joking, but I love getting to talk with Salty about this because I know he gets it, and I know you guys get it as well, just reading the comments in the chat. So thank you guys. You guys are awesome.
No, thank you guys for being here. And this is true, and we need to wrap up, but Purple was worried no one was going to show up to the show today.
Yes,
and I said, you're crazy. I said, you're beautiful and smart, and I'm dead weight. They're going to come and see you. That's what I said to her. And here we are. We've had like 30 people this whole time, and you guys have been rocking the chat and great comments. But just, Purple puts her heart and soul into this, and she does good research, and I'm honored to get to work with her. So again, Purple Valkyrie, haha, I was right. You had a hell of a good show.
Hashtag Salty was right. Yes.
Hashtag. Yeah. Wear that one out. Just gonna say that. Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys, and of course, thank you to Salty. I could not do this without him, and I love getting to do it not only on Wednesdays but on Saturdays as well. Yes. This is freaking awesome.
Yep, weekend woo woo every Saturday at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. A 7% solution. You guys know what I'm talking about? Sherlock Holmes? Never mind. But yeah, we're gonna do it because this is therapeutic. It's fun. There's also really good woo-woo out there. And if the bombs start falling because good old shit my pants Brandon can't keep it together, you want to be hanging out with us talking about Bigfoot in the afterlife because you might get some tips, And I just said that because I'm done. This is clown world. I'm not going to pretend everything's all right because it's not.
It's not. No. Burying your head in the sand does not help. And this is why we talk about it. Yes, we talk about it in a joking way, but if you read between the lines, you guys know exactly what we're getting at. And that what makes you awesome. So thank you. Just quickly, let me say huge thank you to Leaky. So good to see you and good evening. He says, keep doing what you're doing, Purple and Salty. Hashtag woo!
It's wild, weird, wonderful woo-woo Wednesday with Wahid. Ooh.
Nice. Well done.
I know. I can't
Very
do that.
Nice.
I'm going to break my brain, which is already broken. But yeah.
And Smile a while for me. Thank you, sweetheart. I really appreciate that. I appreciate all of you guys. You guys are amazing. Thank you. Thank you, TZ. You guys are so cool.
He's not wrong. The United States Air Force Academy has officially changed their language guide. Guys, oh God. In the 70s and 80s, this is why we fought the Cold War. It was for shit like this, which was not American. Now, Clown World, evil, child-sniffing Clown World. You can find me on Salty Texas Sea. That's my channel. I have a Tuesday show every night with Purple Valkyrie, Zach, Maxfield Von Priestley, occasionally Prophet of the Dragon, as well as Nathan, Amanda Manethrin. I'm going to be doing, as I said, a regularly occurring Saturday Woo Woo show, which starts at 6 p.m. Central. Purple Valkyrie will be there. Also, I hope when Zach gets back from Portugal and Spain, he will be joining us and other people as well. Yeah. I'm also going to be doing some build streams. I got some new models in, maybe do some trivia. Purple, we're going to do some Garctic. I want to thank you for the opportunity to be on your channel today. Hail to everyone in chat. Thank you for the super chats. I have got to go right now. But I just wanted to say thank you for having me on, Purple. This is a lot of fun. So
thank you so much. Thank you. Take care, and I will wrap this up. You guys are amazing, and Salty, thank you for being an awesome co-host. So guys, as we say, we are going to wrap this up. You guys have a fantastic rest of your weekend or week. Your Wednesday feels like we should be in the weekend, but we are not. But I will give you the outro, and we will see you again very, very soon. Thank you guys, and take care. Bye.
Woo.